short as it is here, it's much more difficult. So actually, I would recommend to make a much longer piece and just cut it off afterwards. Then it's easier to do the job. No, it's not good. No. Was it too? I'm not sure. Probably we have to make a new one. Jumping a little bit, you know, it's a drunken one. Yeah, we call it like this. It's a drunken one. It's if and especially if you use flat wood, you know, the flat way, it's much more difficult. If you use any grain, it doesn't happen so much like this because it follows exactly the grain, you know. So this makes it especially difficult. But let us try once more. If we are not successful, we just make a new one.
Never
it does, you know. It's coming. It's coming. Never take it too serious. You shouldn't. Otherwise, all fun disappears. It's coming. Yeah, just to train, it's not so bad. Now, what we are going to do now, we can use this one also. We put it in again, and we could put in a lid. I will show you how to do this. At first, I finish it inside now, and then we can turn it around in a way. Well, we'll see what happens.
Why did you select flat grain as opposed to end grain, other than for the grain pattern?
Because I didn't have a better piece of wood.
But your title is flat grain.
Yeah. You know, if you use The disadvantage by using a flat one is if it isn't really dried out completely, it will warp and you can't turn it around anymore. It will not work afterwards. But in end grain, it will work because it works together the same way. That's a problem. But if you want to make boxes, and as you see with this oak piece here, it works fine. It's completely dried out. It's about 5 or 6%. And this one, I don't know. It's fairly dry, this too. It is. So, just check out. Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to use up all those offcuts off of your...
What did you say?
It's a wonderful way to use all the offcuts up off of your boards and things.
Yeah, yeah. To prevent that, when you are turning out with the gouge, make always sure that you make at first just such a line. So if you fail and it comes out, it usually stops there. So it helps quite. Could be a little advantage to use a deep floating gouge to such a work, but it works the same way with this one too. If you can see it, when I put in this one, the shallow one, I put it the right, never keep it like this. It would run out immediately. So keep it straight on the right angle, like this, and start inside. And when you catch the blade like this, you can just turn it around a little bit and stick it out. It doesn't matter. It works fine. It's not dangerous at all. But if you start just a little bit like this, it works like a screw and runs out to the outside. So this is not... Let me try my arm. This we have enough. I don't have one separate wrap. All I have to use this chisel. I don't have a scraper. How does it look like? don't sand it now. Just waste it. Use some soap, only dry soap, no wet, not a wet one. This is not good. Only dry soap you should use for such a work. Like this. Try it again. If you are able to do such a work, you can make your own wooden chucks, you know, to mount all different things, which in old days we probably can tell us about it. When we did our apprenticeship, you know, we didn't have such stuff like this. We made all for ourselves in wood, and it worked wonderful. Now I put it on and turn it down. Just to get the inside view. So, now what we can do here is we make just a little process with this steel here, and then we can mount a flat piece of wood as a disc, you know, and just drop it in there. Then you can choose, for instance, a much more brilliant piece of wood, or you could use a different kind of material. In old days, we used sometimes ivory or things like that for such pieces. It makes it quite, it's quite useful. And if you do it right, you don't have to glue it in at all. You just pop it in and it fits. Will probably shrink a little bit, and there it is. So let's go. What's going on? Doesn't want anymore.
Something down there.
Some connection. What's going on? There it works. I don't know. we can use it this way. And then we make it just a little bit cool on the outside, here, like this. And afterwards we have to find a piece of wood, which I don't have now. But it could be made later, you know. Now, we are giving a shape. Is it difficult to see? No. Is it? Are you able to see it properly? To watch it? Yeah. So we make a line in the middle so that we know exactly where we have to target afterwards. Like this. For instance, take a little bit from each side. We can mount it again. We want to do the rest. Have a look. Now it starts like this. It's becoming. We take it down like this. Just have a look. We could have done it a little bit cleaner, and so you know it's perhaps a little bit too quick. But it looks like this. And afterwards we put in a piece of wood. It's the way of doing it.
What did you do with this small tool?
This one?
No, this one.
Aha! I
Oh, no,
use it.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, have a look. First, I made a recess inside so that I could get out again with the chaser.
Yes.
And now I made these,
Oh, I see, that was just
Yeah.
for the inlay.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the inside.
Yes. How you used it? Oh, I see right here.
Yeah, yeah. And this is very important that it doesn't go in straight, otherwise you can't mount it.
How do you get your piece in there?
Yeah, that's very important. You have to, this doesn't have to be too deep, you know, otherwise it will fall inside. But you have to push it in on one side and then to press it down.
Johannes?
Yeah.
Excuse me, could you show us on the board? Show us
Yeah,
on the top?
of course. We have that. Actually, it looks like this outside, and then we have this little tiny recess. It should be like this, and then go in like that, you know, like this. And then we have the same thing on this side, and just like this. And then we put a disc in it, and we push it in like this. And then we have to do it very carefully. And this mustn't be too deep. If this part is too deep, it will move afterwards inside, you know. This is very important that you don't make it too deep.
Just
And
barely
then-
snap in.
Yeah, and then you put it on the top and you take a piece of wood which goes around like this. If you just hit it on one place, it may crack, you know. Therefore, you just put it around and give it just a light stroke, you know. It should go into it and fit properly there. So, well, we actually, I don't know, I don't have a piece of wood which let me have a look. Let me have a look. If there's something we could use, we do it. It would be good for you to show how we do it.
Can't get it to focus.
I'm able to mount this one. It's a little bit too. But if we drill a hole, we can do it. Let us try. So you can just send it around to have a look at it.
What thread count is that thread chasing?
What?
How many threads per inch is that?
It's
thread?
metric, he said.
Oh, it's metric?
It's metric one,
It's
yes.
not far short of 16.
About 16?
About 16.
Yeah.
Craft supplies have got 16s.
Do they? Okay.
Yes, they
Yeah,
did. They just
yeah.
started carrying.
It is.
Good bargain, they are. $49 a pair.
49.
$49 a high-speed
Where?
steel.
Where can you get it?
Down this
Craft supply.
supply.
He has a.
He's got something not in.
Yeah.
They're not in the catalog yet.
You also can get an explanation in this magazine which you got.
Yes, just a new one.
Yeah, he explains it also in a quite a very well way, I think. I just had a look at it, and it's the same experience I have. Well, we used it in the former days. We used it very much, especially in ivory. It works fine, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah.
Ivory, it's marvelous.
Yes.
It's marvelous, and you can use so tiny threads that you nearly can't see them, and it works so perfect.
This is marvelous. This is marvelous.
Hmm?
Marvelous. Marvelous. Good work.
Well, it works in any case. Now, let us put in frame and put a hole to do it that way. We don't have the bandsaw here, we don't have anything, you know. It's just important to help yourself always, you know. That's it. Take it out again. And there we have different options. You can, if you want, you can just put in such a screw. You know, this is right the same thing. That's it. And then you can, if it doesn't turn around, you just push it a little bit. It's a cheap one. That's it. So then you turn, and to prevent tracking out at the end like this, you know, I did it by purpose. You have just to turn it around like this. That's
Yeah, I
it.
understand.
So you put it in again, and we make it round. What's going on? I didn't. I give you. I'm not strong enough, you know. Now, we have to find out exactly the size here. It should be like this. Now, this is very important to be really, to work really exactly. Otherwise, you will fail. We will fail with it. So, make a little cone this way. Should work now. And then I have another tool which looks like this and fits properly into this one, so that I don't have to make further measurements. Now, I should have one tool. It looks like this. This one fits properly into this one. This looks like this. You can just make it for yourself. This is no problem at all. What we are doing now is just we keep it down. Session like this. Now we should be able to turn it down, and this is not easy. I tell you. Then we, at first, before we cut it down, we can make sure that it really works. And we put it in like this. It's too big. Seems to be a little bit too big. It's very thin, you know. I could crack it, so I have to be very careful. Now, it's inside. Up here. You know, if you are not careful, it suddenly falls inside and it's down. It's sticking. Well, now it could work. Shall we try? I don't want to crack it, you know. You are laughing at me.
It doesn't work.
You may do it. It's fine. I take the chance now. Pat it down. Leave it a little bit bigger so that we can successful with it. It's a little bit too deep, you know, like this. We made it a little bit too deep, and then we get it like this. It's very important to work really precisely, otherwise it's like this. But it's also an advantage not to turn it down like this, as I did now, but use a piece of wood, a thin lid, you know, which you can properly fit in. And it also could be done before you turn it down to the right size outside, so that you don't split it. This is very important. If now it was very dangerous, I could have probably would have cracked, you know. But this is the way of doing it. You still could glue it fast, but normally it shouldn't be necessary to do it. If you do it properly, it will work very fine. Absolutely. Now it's a little bit loose. It's a bit paper.
Well,
You can change them.
half cost.
Hmm?
Half cost. How would you mount that thin piece?
This, how I mount this? Well, I can show you. Can we get it out again?
Fits perfect.
This. Not so bad. And you take a tape. You can do all with such a tape here. Glue and tape. That's all.
My figure?
Hmm? That's it.
Double.
Yeah. That's it. It normally fits so properly, you know, it fits so well, it's no problem at all. Then you can turn it off. I usually do it in this one. Now, if you want, we can make a new one, shall we? Or should I show you something different? Or do you want to see something different?
What is it, something different?
I could show you to use the hook.
Yeah, sure.
Could you explain while you're setting up why you cut the top off, other than to put the inlay in? Did you need access to the interior for anything?
No.
It was just to put the lid in?
You mean on this one?
Yes.
Why I cut off the...
Yes.
Oh, no. Didn't you understand? I
No.
drilled the hole by mistake.
The mistake.
Yeah.
Oh.
Johannes, you see the box?
Hmm?
You see it?
Yeah. You know, we all make our mistakes. Isn't it funny?
That's a design.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So there was no need to get access to the interior?
No.
Yeah. And does the wood never collapse the threads when you're turning the two halves together?
No, it shouldn't.
Huh. Huh.
Okay, we take a bigger piece of wood. I think we take this one can be mounted. It's always the problem how if it is able to mount such a piece. Yeah, we turn it around at first between center, and then we mount on these Canadian chucks. This is a very strong one with this grip, you know, and it's very useful for such work. So let us just remove the tools not to damage them like this. So we take the work off. those of you who haven't seen it, in the meanwhile, can send it around. I made a visit card when I visited Japan some years ago. You can just have a look at it. And this is one with our text. Here, the visit card was like this, you know, with the Japanese text on the back side. But I have only 2 or 3 left, so I want to keep it be a little bit careful so that I don't break it. But you can just
Johan, what kind of lathe you get?
What kind of?
What kind of lathe you get in Norway? What kind of machine you get?
Oh, I have 4 lathes actually. I have a big hubful, 4 meter of length, 4 meter, because I'm doing sometimes enormous scale work, you know, columns and things like that. And then I have 2 Swedish lathes. They are 30 years old, but they are so wonderfully built, you know. You really can't get such lathes anymore. And you know, the most important thing with really a good lathe is the distance between the bearings. It should be as large as possible. And not such tiny spindles, but a spindle like this, you know, a big one. If you are going to buy a lathe, you have to look after such things. Long bearings, long distance between the bearings, a thick spindle, really, and best a hollow one with a big hole through it. And they are going so smooth. And then I have this new one which Dale has exhibited, the English one, the big one, the heavy one. You have seen it probably yesterday. Heavy. Yeah, it works wonderfully. This is a good one. Yeah. We use it for really big scale work. For instance, we can turn on it over 2 meters, this size, you know. You have just to remove these rests, you know, which is built, and buy in addition another one which you can put in front of it. Then you can turn really enormous scales. It works wonderfully. So let's go ahead with it.
Laminate. Or talk to Vernon.
Let's work a little bit quicker. How much time do we have? Not so much?
15 minutes.
50, that's sufficient. Now, let's go ahead. take it to the... I'm not accustomed to all these different tools, you know, the sizes. You get it?
There's a piece of wood up by your right hand, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Now use one of your gouges.
Put your gouge in. Oh, yeah.
I don't like it to use a hammer. How long is it? Thank you.
Not very.
Yeah. Go ahead a little bit quickly, and the wrong side certainly should have mounted it here, but it doesn't.
You do mainly architectural work? Is that, it sounds like?
Not mainly, I wouldn't say, I do a lot of it,
A lot.
but I do all kind of turning, really. But I also have done quite a lot of in cooperation with some artists, big scales, monuments, for instance, part of them, enormous discs, which are presented with the sculpture or things like that. So it's enormous. They are always coming to our workshop. We are situated outside Oslo, you know, in the center, and the other wood turners are not. They are specialized in legs, doing turning legs and things like that, and spindles and so on, but not really. To our workshop, all can come. All, we do all, nearly. So let us go ahead and just turn down this. We have two different hooks. They are small ones. One is grinded outside the other one inside. Have a look. We start with this one. This one doesn't give so much access if you have to, this one, if you have to go around, you know, because of this outside finding. So let us have a look. You start, push it up like this, a little way, and then you can take this one again to the ground properly. So this piece of wood is very dry, and if you have wood which is wet, it works marvelous. It's so easy, you can just...
So the second one is ground on the inside, is that?
Yeah, this one is grinded inside, and as you can see...
You got to
Yeah, have a look. If you use this one on the bottom, certainly you get better access here. With this one, the face on the back side doesn't fit properly. You can't get it on. You know, it's in the way. So you have to turn it like this, and this makes it really uncomfortable to work like this. It works also well. Go down. It's very hard to get access. What do you use?
It's taking like 5 minutes to knock
Well,
it out.
I use diamond grinder tool, you know, like this.
And the other one,
You never have to go on a grinder with such a tool. You would destroy it probably. Sometimes if it's new, you probably have to use a round sphere-like grinder to do it. But normally it's we just use a hone, and that's it. There's high speed.
there's a high speed. Did you
Yeah.
make those yourself?
No, no. This was made by Johannes from Sweden. As you probably know, some of you may have met him. He does, for a factory, he has designed some of these hoops, and I got this as a present from him just to try to, and to see how it works. So sometimes people come and and give me some tools and ask me to try it and how it works and how to recommend it or to change the face and things like that. You know. So this works fine now. It does.
So you rough out with the outside sharpened one
Yeah.
and that's your finishing tool.
Yeah.
That-
No, you can do it in the same way. You know, it works actually, as you can see here. Can you see it exactly like this? just like this. And you have to get these kind of shavings from the inside. And the same with the egg cup race we are going on this evening. It's important that you know exactly how to use your gouge. You should take part in these competitions. It's so much fun. Please do it. So have a look to get it out inside your egg cup. It's you take these a shallow fluted gouge like this, and you drill a little hole, a little mixture. That's inside, and then the outside, 50 seconds, it's finished. It is.
You're right. Very good.
Yeah, it doesn't take, and you know, it's amazing if you have a good piece of wood. It's so clean inside and absolutely round, because you have to learn this is important. You keep it down like this, always upright like this, and keep it to the center, and give support on the breast, on the face, and then it cuts properly like this. And just do it like this.
What keeps it from
Huh?
keeps it from kicking out that way? Are you holding it back? You're up at the top there.
I keep it like this.
Riding the devil,
Yeah, I keep it like this, drive it up like and don't push it over the center line. Otherwise it will come back again. You can keep it. You have to keep it a little bit in front of the center line. And then you have just to move it up and down. Please take part in this competition.
You're frightened them off. You're frightened of the competition off.
Don't tell him we have to beat Rafa.